German manufacturing has dropped a crap ton. And if you look at the German Fortune 500 companies, have announced over 60,000 layoffs this year. This is really scary for a country who has a lot of its economy depended by car manufacturing and other areas in manufacturing. So when you have a lot of factory closures, factory workers being laid off, and severances being handed out, it's not a good sign, considering some of the biggest companies in Germany are reporting some of the most doo-doo earnings I've ever seen. Look at Volkswagen's Q3 revenue, declined by 41.7% year over year. I mean, back in 2023 Q3, they made about 5.3 billion. Now it's $3 billion. I don't know what in the world happened with Volkswagen for them to decline by almost 50% in terms of revenue, but it's so bad to the point that they're now closing factories, laying off employees, and I don't think these employees are being hired back anytime soon. Not to mention right now, there's not a lot of people around the world buying cars, especially in America. Many Americans are refusing to buy cars because of the high interest rates. Volkswagen makes some of the most incredible vehicles out there. It's very safe cars. I say it's one of the better brands out there for your money. But even then, with like new EVs coming out from Volkswagen, they just can't seem to be getting customers. And it's not just Volkswagen, but a few other companies that we'll get into. But right now, Volkswagen CEO says layoffs and plant closures are necessary because they want to save 4 billion euros. And considering how they lost this much money, I think now they're going to be doing some of the biggest cost reductions ever. And one of the cost reductions that really suck is a lot of the wages will be reduced. We live in an incredibly high interest area. I mean, if you look at cheeseburgers at McDonald's, it's like $2.19. I remember when it was 99 cents. So inflation going up, the company proposed a 10% wage reduction. Many people are on strike. Many people are unhappy. But the thing is, the company is making so little money, they kind of have to do it. You know, right now there is a lot of outrage in Germany about this. A 10% wage reduction is massive. Imagine making $5,000, now you're making 4.5 grand. I mean, a lot of people rely on that last 10% of their wages. What's even scarier is Volkswagen broke the news it was considering closing the first plant in Germany in its almost 100-year history. CEOs told employees that a 3-decade-old job protection pledge was at risk, and this was used to prevent layoffs through 2029, but they're already firing off workers. Layoffs are happening, and the first ever time when Volkswagen actually closed a factory in its home country of Germany. Mass layoffs, historic plant closures. These are some of the scariest things that any employee will hear. And if you look at Bosch, which makes power tools, these guys are very, very popular here in the US, but they don't just make power tools, guys. They also make a lot of car parts. And with the car industry in tatters, Bosch, one of Germany's biggest employers, is cutting working hours for 10,000 people. Now workers are forced to have a 3-day weekend when they didn't even ask for it. You know what this sounds like? A massive wage reduction, just like what's going on with the Volkswagen employees. 10% wage reduction. That is enormous. And of course, Bosch is taking a massive beating right now. So can the German car manufacturer industry just recover? It's going to be very difficult. You guys don't know what's happening here. We're seeing incredibly high interest rates around the world, except China, apparently. But right now, the Feds have already said that they're deciding to cut rates a lot slower, which sucks. Okay, I'm just saying for real. The Feds are refusing to lower interest rates as quickly as before. In October, we decreased rates by 0.5%. In November, we were supposed to decrease it by 0.5, but we only did 0.25. And now in December, they said that they're not cutting rates at all, which is kind of like what's most likely going to happen. We are kind of in a very sticky situation. And you clearly see that a lot of these German companies are also struggling. And when you have layoffs in the high 5 figs, this is when it gets kind of troubling. And of course, the government is already showing their concern. Many executives, managers, and CEOs are pretty scared in Germany as well. And when layoffs are getting this intense and when earnings are this bad, it kind of feels like in a recession.